to a Phoenician bloodline. And in the ancient Phoenician language, Cana meant merchant, banker. The very word merchant comes from mer, M-E-R, for the sea, for water. As a mermaid, we have merchant. Merchant, bankers. Let me give you an example of the difference between the law of water and the law of the land. The Statue of Liberty must be put in water. It could not be put on American land as such. It had to be put in a harbor because it's not the Statue of Freedom. It's a Statue of Liberty. Liberty is what a sailor gets when he pulls into port on a ship. He gets liberty. He's not free. So America is not the land of the free and the home of the brave. We're not free or brave, period. And make no mistake, they do not pick words by chance. These words are very serious. Now let me give you an example of how this law of the water works. Why is it that you have to go to court? You go to court because you play basketball and tennis on a court. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Why? Because that's what it is. It's a racket. When you go into a court, what's the idea of going to court? It's a game, like basketball. The whole idea in a court, one team gets up and they throw the ball over to that team of lawyers. That team gets up and throws the ball back into their court. And the judge is wearing a black robe, so he is the referee. He doesn't care which side wins or loses because he's going to get paid anyway. So he couldn't care less. The judge is a referee between two teams. The judge rules from the bench. The word bench in Latin is a bank. Therefore, the judge rules for the bank. Where do you find banks? You find banks on both sides of a river. They're called river banks. And what does a river bank do? It directs the flow of the currency. Consequently, your money is currency because it's the flow, the cash flow. I'll give you an example of how this works. When a ship pulls into a harbor, all ships are referred to as female. Why? There's a very good reason. Maritime Admiralty banking law says all ships are female because they're carrying items for money, and so consequently they are under Maritime Admiralty law. Admiralty is where we get the word admiral, admiral of the Navy.
Of Sherlock Holmes, when Sherlock Holmes was trying to talk about his technique to Dr. Watson, who couldn't get it, he said, I'll sum it up this way. He said, when you come to Baker Street to visit me, you come up the stairs every day. How many stairs are there, Watson? He goes, I don't know. He goes, you see, but you do not observe. That's all it's about. In the Bible it says, having eyes ye see not, having ears ye hear not. It's time to start watching them. Madonna, the Illuminati pyramid on her back. Camel, the Illuminati pyramids. And the man, see this? See the leg? You see how that's a human being? There's his face looking out this way. There's his chest and his arm. There's a human being there. Yeah. You have to, we could spend some time, but unfortunately we don't have it. We'll get a packet and look at it. And by the way, anybody here familiar with sacred geometry? The idea of the phi ratio and the golden section? Cigarette boxes are actually designed based on the golden rectangle. So just holding them has a therapeutic effect. Not in a good way, but in a negative way. That's one of the selling pitches they do. Not only there's opium in the tobacco and all of that. Yes, there's lots of things to create addiction, but these people are very adroit. Even the ratio of how the lid to the rest of the box and how it's opened and the arousal that comes with that. But you can use the same techniques for your own healing. These are for your degradation. Go and measure your beds at home. If you have children, discover whether their beds are based on the phi ratio or not. Because these companies that make the beds for you and the children's cots make sure that they're not based on sacred ratios, so you have restless sleep. And so you have nightmares. Chuck them out the window and do it right. Make your own beds, make them based on sacred geometry, and watch what happens to your life patterns and your sleep patterns, just from that one thing alone. Courtney Pine, Illuminati symbolism. Who runs KinderCare? Big question. Better find out. Look at their symbol. Oh yeah. Wonder why children go missing? I wonder about it. Swedish bank using the eye on the pyramid. Temptation. Oh yes, and the wonderful advertisements that proliferate about what men want. Okay, Chanel for men. Here is the vesica, the opening of the female, and the C, the two C's of Chanel is 33, right? The third letter of the alphabet, 33. There's a lot of symbolism in here. And the female opening. And A-N, by the way, right in the middle there, is the ancient word for the heavens, for the goddess of the heavens, An. Look at the positioning. Look at the positioning. That is very attractive to your unconscious mind, even her hand's position. You'll find actors like Marlon Brando and James Dean used to use a lot of these kinds of symbolisms for positive usage, but just the symbol of the womb, anything connected to going back to the womb has a lot of currency in advertising. Yes, perfectly, good example. Fila, let's look at this one and another twist on it. They use a lot of words putting backwards. The word fila doesn't mean anything in English, that should get your hackles up. As soon as you see something that doesn't mean something in English, please understand that it does mean something in one of the ancient languages of the ancient world. Latin, Greek, Hebrew, you know, which didn't use vowels, or one of the magical languages. If you spell the word backwards, you get aleph. Anybody into Hebrew here? They'll recognize that word. Aleph means the life, the breath of life. Your breath was called aleph. It's the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And it means breath, or it means life, to be alive. Now, you tell me what would happen. What does it mean if I take the word for life in Hebrew and turn it backwards? What am I suggesting? Precisely. So when you see our teens walking around looking like death warmed up with Fila t-shirts on and not feeling too good, maybe there's a reason. So you can wear the corporate logos, you can dress from head to toe and look dead chic. I don't mind, but at least know what you're wearing. That's all I'm advocating. Know what the symbols mean. Ultimately, you shouldn't wear them, but, you know, let's do it in stages, right? The yoni. The yoni. The ovum. The female symbols that are used constantly. Here's a company that even uses the term. The ovum. Because they're selling you something more than what you think you're getting. The sacred and the profane. This is another area where, again, the spiritual, religious motifs are being used in different kinds of contexts, taken out of context and put into a materialistic context. The E, you see how the E is set aside there? Pretty self-evident. Yes. Don't think we need to continue, analyzing some of them. That word is naive. It's the anagram of the word naive, because they want to associate water with purity and innocence. You see the beautiful imagery of the sacred geometry, the vesica, the cauldron of all life, the lily of Mother Mary, the priestess, the lunar female, comes straight out of the tarot. All the symbols are there, if you know what you're looking at. Some of the poses are meant to be erotic, but they're also sort of necromantic. And they're always ready to promise you things you don't have. Here's the sacred symbols of the three and the cancer. You see the cancer, lemniscate, the dove, and the Volkswagen saying, we give you peace, associations, peace of mind. You don't have it. You don't have it. But if you get their car, you'll have it, right? Slavery.